Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name's Sierra Steinmetz.
Brian Shuey.
Carrie Steele.
Bill
And
Jones.
we're the Jones Home Team.
And this is episode 70. And I had to adjust the lighting because I was so tan. Sorry, guys. Just got back. So,
must be nice.
yeah, so avoid some of the winter and into some nice weather. But we're talking about that. Carrie's going to jump into that, living cheap or almost free. I haven't found out how the almost free.
Yeah, right.
Is this island living only or is this a couple?
All
you got
over.
different areas.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. Shu, what do you got? Money saving tips for homeowners. Sierra, I'll let you explain what yours is here. The ugliest house in America, right?
Yeah.
All right. Looks like that's kind of a fun one here. And I just couldn't resist. I came right back. Had to get back to reality, look up, and there's Inman News with Compass and Anywhere and all that stuff. So I had to dive right back into that.
That's why I knew I didn't need to cover it.
Right. Yeah. I'm just like, I got to. So I got a book on that. And if we get a chance yet, Tara wants us to talk about feedback and things like that, leaving that from showing property. I don't know. I'm sure
We did talk
discussed
about
that
it.
in the
We have
past and
talked
something
about
like
it
that.
before,
But
yeah.
I could go either way with that. But we'll jump into it. Let's get into something fun. What do we got? Living
cheap or free? Well, first off, I think if you have a sailboat beyond just paying to dock it, that's probably a cheap way to get around. But imagine moving to a city where you didn't have to pay your rent or live almost rent free, or even on a tropical island. You can dramatically cut your cost. Obviously, you want to stay away from touristy areas because those are kind of monopolized by people going there and making money. But there are some remote locations and even some places in the United States where you can live cheap or in some cases almost free. So the first thing I want to talk about is working remote and free housing programs. So in the United States, I think it's becoming more common for people to have remote jobs where they're working remotely, or something like YouTubers or nurses, like traveling nurses. So you can actually, you're not bound to the spot where you live and work. You can work anywhere. So Tulsa, Oklahoma has a process. It's called Tulsa Remote. Now, I didn't fact check all this stuff. This is just, data scraping and web searching
so
here.
don't change your life over
Don't change your
this
life.
advice right
but
here.
Some
okay.
of these I'm like, okay, I do know about that. We'll let these guys pass here. But if you work remotely, what they'll do is they'll pay you $10,000 and they give you co-working space and community perks. So it's like, yeah, they might give you $10,000, and if you blow that $10,000 on a car, you're not getting free housing. But if you put that $10,000 towards housing, that's kind of the payoff where they say
they're still giving you $10,000.
Almost free. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, maybe the rent's more than $10,000, but you can kind of see that you're working for almost free. West Virginia, and I don't know the town specifically, but there are participating towns that will pay you up to $12,000, and then they give you co-working spaces and outdoor packages too. So I don't know if that means like whitewater rafting, or if they like let you go mountain climbing, or what that looks like. But just to know that that's available is pretty cool, especially if you're like a young college person or you don't have ties to a town and you can kind of get up and move. That's really cool. Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, and New York have some small towns that have cash incentives from $7,000 to $19,000 for newcomers, just to try to, get people to come to their town. Like what incentive, what bonuses there to move to that location and maybe start an entrepreneur, job or something like that.
A lot of those seem to be right around us here. Is it because it's cold? It's wintertime. It's cold, freezing. Like we got to get somebody to get up here. So offer money.
So even though it's not free, if you use that money towards your mortgage, you can usually get like a year or two of affordable housing or free housing. So let's talk about then places to stay that are like a work base. So you go there and you work. And that's one that I did actually look into, because many years ago, Bobby and I were thinking like, okay, when the kids get older or when they graduate, because we're getting close to that point, like what do we want to do? What do we want to
Right.
We want to travel. We want to help people. And we looked into the Red Cross. So we're like, man, especially during COVID and like all the things that were happening across the world and fires and different things, like that would be really cool to be able to just up and leave and go help a crisis area. Do we have the skills? Not necessarily, but we don't not have the skills.
Sure.
So we were
You
looking.
could be taught, right?
Yeah. And even just helping with like debris removal and, lining people up and helping people get the resources they need in a remote location or a devastated area. And then we also talked about mission trips and what those look like, be it going to a third world country or going to a warm place. It's inside of us, there is some selfishness that goes into that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, how can we do it and make it work for everybody so that there's a positive outcome and we're not just going on vacation? I'm
helping people. To just so happens I'm on a tropical island while I'm doing that.
That's right. Yeah, and those do exist. So I did look into those. The problem is, and we'll get into some of this, is that some of those work programs, not necessarily the Red Cross or mission trips, but some of those work for housing, those can be kind of sketchy because you're going to a third world country where the work ethic is completely different. They don't have OSHA. They don't have Department of Labor.
Right.
So you might be living in a tent and provided with food, but instead of housing and food, you're living in a tent in a pest infested
and eating nothing but
heat,
rice.
Right. Yeah.
and eating nothing but porridge or rice. And so you have to look at that as, okay,
So
do I
maybe
really
go check out the
do
job
this?
first
Yeah.
before you commit to that.
Yeah, horror stories. Look at other
Yeah.
people's experiences. If they said, wow, we did this for 6 weeks for my family, or we did this with my, my friends, and it was an amazing experience and anybody should do it. It's just like an Amazon review. Go on and read the 2 stars, the 3 stars. Don't just look at what they're promoting. But still, there's a place called WWOOF. And again, I didn't vet these websites. WWOOF, WWOOF, lets you work on an organic farm worldwide for a few hours a day in exchange for room and board. So, I mean, that one might be one. It could be really bad, but it could be really good.
Sure, could be cool.
Yeah. Just like Airbnb or Vrbo, you can have a really, really good experience on Airbnb or Vrbo, or you can have a really, really bad experience.
Sure, right.
If you get a $57 a night in, I don't know, Little Rock, Arkansas, maybe you wouldn't have as good of experience as a $300 beachfront property in Jacksonville. I don't know. Kind of night and day.
Right.
So house sitting. TrustedHousesitters is a website, I guess.
I saw that on your list. I'm like, okay, I didn't even know that was a thing, really, but
yeah,
that could
but
be
if
really
you think
cool.
about it, like, is that something that you could do if you were, in your 20s, 30s, or just graduated college and aren't sure what you want to do, and maybe you're looking at moving to a big city like Jacksonville or wherever, and you're like, I want to live there, but I don't want to get a house there, or I don't want to I don't want to rent a 1-year lease, but I want to try it out. So you go down for 6 weeks, you take care of somebody's house or pets or property in exchange for room and board. And you're like, okay, I really like it here. Wow, this sucks. Get me out of here.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference too between let my dog out and I have a herd of llamas. Could you tend to those while I'm gone?
You got a full operational farm.
And actually, that is one thing. And that's why, vet the places that you're going to go, because they could have a fully operational farm. I don't know if you guys saw Napoleon Dynamite, that movie, where they go and they do the chicken thing. That was a real scene.
Oh, yeah.
That they really were working that chicken farm. They didn't realize.
Yeah.
They thought it was just part of the movie, but they were actually working that chicken farm. They're like, they'd never
Okay, I didn't know
experienced
that,
anything like that. And those characters were
Something
real.
that sounds good, but maybe not.
I'm getting really off topic here of housing, but let's talk about Tropical Island. Bill, you came back with the tan. You're all motivated
just last
to
night.
go somewhere really warm. And that's everybody's ultimate dream. How do you go on vacation but live there and get paid to live there, or live there and make money so that you can afford that vacation lifestyle? I don't think I'd get tired of it, but there are probably people that would. The closest thing that I could find to free is Pitcairn Island. It's a South Pacific island offering free land to newcomers to boost its population. This, like a lot of places, if you want to go to Indonesia, if you want to go to Mexico, if you want to go, and as a American that wants to go there, a lot of times you have to provide you're healthy, you have valid passports, you have no criminal history, and that you can sustain yourself when you get there. So you're not going to live off their system.
Right.
And you have to show proof of funds, which is kind of funny. It's like real estate. Like, show me that you're pre-approved to come to my country and show me what value
show me
you're
you're
going
not
to
a leech
bring.
and we'll give you island property.
This Pitcairn Island, I had to look up how to say it. It says that on another website. I went digging and it said
Pitcairn,
Yep, CAIRN.
There it is.
It said that you have to have a chest x-ray and another x-ray, and you have to be physically healthy. Obviously, it's a super remote island, so with anywhere, even with some of the mountain ranges here in the United States,
awesome.
you have to be physically healthy enough that if you needed to be transported for medical, that you can get there safely.
Okay, so it literally looks like there's zero infrastructure there.
Yep.
I mean, you'd have to be pretty...
And volcano, active volcano island maybe, or just a volcanic location.
Sure.
How beautiful. I don't know how big
cool.
it is.
I don't know.
I don't know how many
That's crazy.
people currently live there.
I have to imagine the cost of living is insane.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
I'm
it said the
sure.
exports, you have to be prepared to pay a huge price on exports or imports there. and it's super, super remote. So the ecosystem's insane. And so you have to be willing to deal with like pests and bugs and all the things that we take for granted here where they spray for mosquitoes, you know, and you're not going to have that. It's going to be like Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, realtor.com.
like,
So things you don't consider is the pest, a whole new world of pests. So who knows what you're going to run into then.
Yeah,
too.
hear that, Logan? We could go down and start a pest company.
There you go.
Just blow up all the bugs.
Who knows, like the sickness you could get from some random like bug that
Seriously.
you've never been in
Oh,
contact
yeah,
with
right.
too.
That'd be cool.
And then they have to like life flight you just to go to the urgent care.
And it's like, how long does it take you to get to the nearest urgent care?
And anyone of those third world, having had stayed in a third world country hospital, I can attest that it's not necessarily the best thing ever. So
You learn to
some of them
become
are
a
great.
nurse.
I'm still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would not prefer to go to one of those. Yeah, avoid that at all costs.
Well, most tropical locations have digital nomad visas, which might be a better option than
Sure.
just going full off-grid. Anguilla, the Bahamas, Bermuda, Antigua, Dominica, and St. Lucia, they all have digital nomad visas. And so they don't necessarily give you free housing, but you can live there for a set period of time, like a year or two. And so that could be a good option. And then there's other U.S. territories that you don't have to worry about your visa or immigration issues. Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and U.S. Virgin Islands being some of the top contenders there. So you get that tropical living without having to deal with what does it look like to go there as
Sure.
a foreign citizen or a non-citizen. Takeaways. So again, if you want to explore cities, Tulsa and West Virginia, they have the best cash incentives. And I just wonder why Seneca County, we don't offer some sort of cash incentive for people to come here if we're trying to grow
Want to
and
do something
grow.
different?
I mean, it wouldn't have to be much, $5,000 or something like
I just
that.
pulled up St. Lucia hospitals, and this is not.
Oh, okay.
This is not what they looked like.
That's not what they look like. Well,
When-
Bill, you helped them build that.
No, there was nothing there. Granted, that was 15, 16 years ago.
That's-
These all look
yeah,
pretty
that's
nice. Yeah, look at
fresh.
these things look nice. No, it was more like this half this hut back there.
Maybe
Well-
if you weren't there in the olden days.
Yes, yeah, back there.
Olden days.
Christopher Columbus just left.
Well, Bill, you had said they were building there like crazy, and I can't imagine that people like traveling nurses or people like this that are just 20 years just racking their brain like, how can I make money there and live there but still come home and see
Right.
people, but even 6
Right.
months out of the year, 9 months out of the year.
I've been to St. Lucia a long time, but the Dominican though, the last several years, I mean, every time we go back there, it's more and more stuff, more hotels, more
Yeah.
buildings, more manufacturing going up like crazy. I think it's probably the tourist money going
I
there.
would say,
so, but
yeah.
still,
So yeah, so that, and then, you know, if you are thinking about doing something like digital nomad or working off grid or staying at a place that's paying you to live there, is do your homework. Don't just jump and think, wow, this is a great experience, because you are dealing with third world countries
Right.
and remote locations. So just, you know, do your due diligence before you jump.
when we get done here, I'll see if I can find my phone, the actual pictures of what that looked like. So
Yeah. Of
you'll be
of the
impressed.
hospital.
All right, cool.
That's all I have.
All right. Well, there's a couple things at realtor.com. Yeah, beware pest. Their recommendation was go stay a while. They're like, oh, I know, twisting your arm, right? But yeah, go actually stay somewhere. Because that was the one thing we talked about was you go to these resorts and it's like, it's not real life. It's not, you know, that's
Right.
not, it's like Disney World. They found some remote place, put this amazing place up there, like where you guys got married. I'm sure the same thing. It's probably just remote, nothing there at one point. And then, yeah, you actually live there unless you have oceanfront property or golf property. Like if you're just living in the town, in the island, it's probably no different than here, only now you're in a completely different country that you still
There's
have no
wild
access.
dogs running everywhere
yeah.
and trash in the street,
Yep.
probably.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
no transportation and no
somebody's not
hospitals.
bringing you drinks and food right by the pool
Yeah.
on the ocean. You know what I mean? That seems nice, but actually living there would probably be a way different story.
Why don't we do that at home, Bill?
Yeah,
Why don't we
yeah,
have
no
somebody
kidding.
just come up and room service our house?
Yeah, and then you already hit on this factor of cost of living, be prepared to downsize. I think they have to import a lot of stuff. So just the simplest
Yeah.
things. And I think air conditioning is a big thing I've always heard. What little research I've ever done about island living is, again, you go stay at a resort, there's plenty of air conditioning. You go buy a house there, AC is a premium. It's not
And
something
blackouts.
that,
Even when we went down and went to the resort for our wedding, like the AC worked, but it wasn't
No.
Yeah.
like I
Right.
mean, you were still like in your room, like, oh my gosh, it's freaking hot.
Like,
You
this is
got the
ridiculous.
AC turned all the way down, and
yeah, it's 95
And
and
here-
10,000% humidity.
Yeah.
And
We have AEP restoring our stuff in like 2 hours, but down there, you know, you have a
Yeah.
storm. What kind of
yeah, it might be a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
return
have to
time
have
do you
people
have?
traveling and that's crazy.
All right. Shub, you got save us some money. All right, save us some money so we can go buy an island. How about that? What do we do with that?
Yeah, obviously tax season's right around the corner here. I am not a tax professional, not a tax consultant, so obviously check.
So
with
take
yours.
this as legal tax advice,
So
please.
check with yours before obviously you would do anything. But when you purchase a home, you obviously as a new buyer have a lot of additional expenses. So anywhere you can save a dime, obviously it's a good thing. So one of the things, private mortgage insurance. So PMI is a premium you pay every month until your equity equals 20% of your home's value. Luckily, these premiums can be deducted from your income when you file your taxes, so just something to keep in mind. Mortgage interest, if you paid more than $600 in mortgage interest during the tax year, every penny you paid is also deductible, and that includes interest on a second mortgage. So whether it's your primary or your secondary, both are deductible. So there you go, Karen, for your island house.
Right.
Local real estate taxes. Some taxpayers overlook the fact that homeowners can deduct local, state, and even foreign real estate taxes on their federal returns. Lower income homeowners may also get special property tax benefits from their state municipality. So look into further breaks, and that's also one of those, especially for VA homeowners. Typically, if you're a veteran and I think it's depending on what your disability percentage is, you can actually get your taxes deducted quite a bit. I think
From
one of my previous buyers was 100% disabled through the Navy, and I don't think he hardly pays any property taxes. So
That's awesome.
just something to keep
Yeah,
an
that's
eye open
nice.
for. Losses from weather, fire, or theft. While nobody obviously wants a tree to fall on their house, burglars to make off with their flat screen or whatever, the IRS grants a break to any property or casualty loss that is more than 10% of your gross income and is not reimbursed by your insurance company.
Nice.
So,
Oh, I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
No, I
Yeah.
haven't either.
moving expenses. If you moved 50 miles or more for a new job during the tax year, you can deduct your moving expenses. If you started the new job more than a year before purchasing the home, the moving expenses are not tax deductible. So you would need to make sure it's within that same. You start your
So
job
basically, you're
and move within
moving
the same
for the
year.
job, not like you just moved there and found
Yeah.
a job kind of
Yep.
thing. Okay.
Well, I guess you could do that as long as it's
As long
in
as
the
within
same
that year. Yeah.
Selling costs. So something on the sell side. So if you've sold a home during the tax year, the commission you paid to real estate agents is tax deductible. Also are the legal fees and closing costs. Just like home improvement costs reduce your cost basis, so do your selling costs. So any commissions, any fees that you experienced while you were selling your home, those are all tax deductible as well.
That's cool.
Which,
Like, yeah, I guess I kind of thought that. I've never actually seen it in writing, though.
Yep. And then obviously check, just because I just got a check yesterday, which made me think about this, rebates with your electric company,
yeah.
taxes, anything like that. Something to keep an eye on. I think I did, because I know, Bill, we had talked about this with our electric company. They came out and verified. They did our hot water heater, our heat pump, and then our thermostat. And I think we got just over it was just under $1,000. We got a check for just under $1,000 back.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
just something to kind of help offset and try to save every penny you can.
I think, was it this week or last week, I think Trump just announced up to $10,000 now in interest related to mortgage that can now be deducted. And I think that might be 2026. And again, I didn't fact check,
Sure.
but somebody else was talking about it. And I was like, oh, that's something to look into for sure.
I had thought about talking about it because I didn't do a whole lot of research into it, but I just saw he had talked about being able to use money from your 401k as your down payment or something.
Which I thought that was always a thing, was it not?
I think
is
you
it
could
now
borrow
you
I
against
think
it
you
or
could
take money
borrow
out
against it, but there's like
without
a fee
penalty.
Yeah.
So now
I
it's like
think
they're taking away the penalty,
I
or
think so.
writing it
Again,
off
I
or
haven't done a whole
something.
lot of research, but that's kind of what I was getting.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
you've
good
always,
topic.
as long as you're using it for a home purchase or
Yeah,
there's a
a
couple
car or
of few
something,
things,
yeah.
I don't know if it's a car. There's like a very few things that they'd let you borrow against without either borrow or take the money out without a penalty, I think, but probably not a good idea. Probably should want to leave that
Yeah.
do its thing, maybe if you could. But I mean, it is what it is. You got to make life work.
I was
so
going to say that's
yeah.
also one of those too, what's making more, is the housing
Right.
market.
Yeah.
running more
That's
than
true,
your
too.
401k?
That's
I mean,
right.
Because again, some of those guys like Grant Cardone, I know he's like, don't put your money in.
Yeah, don't put your
into
money in the
stock
market.
Buy real estate. So
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on your mindset and where you're
Right.
at financially then as well. Obviously,
That's-
he has money to burn. Where
Yeah, exactly.
nobody does.
Some of us are trying to, we were talking about buying groceries. You get 2 little bags of groceries and it's nothing,
Yeah.
for anything. I want to say too, the PMI, I think for FHA, I don't think that comes off anymore after that 20%.
No, it doesn't,
Yeah,
'cause I
so that's like a
tried.
permanent PMI. Like
Okay.
you'd have to refi the loan
Yeah.
into something else because I'm pretty sure they made the PMI permanent for FHA. So,
Yeah, it
but I
used
think a
to
lot
drop
of the others you
off.
can do that.
And it's like if you're refi just to get that dropped off, the cost is about the same because
Yeah,
you're
it's probably
paying
not
closing
worth it.
costs
Yeah.
and fees to refi. So
All right. Well, speaking of closing costs, what about buying the ugliest home in America?
Let's
What do you
go.
What do you do with that, Sierra? So
All right. We're talking about a finalist for HTV's show Ugliest House in America, and this is a candy-colored Victorian in the Windy City.
I mean, this looks like this could be in Tiffin. There's
I-
houses
right.
like this in Tiffin,
Yes.
exactly like this.
Oh, for sure. I don't know how many of these are in places like Chicago, though.
Right.
Especially, and unfortunately, there's not a ton of inside photos of this house because the whole inside is said to be exactly the same.
The same crazy color scheme.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Look at that
Just
fence.
everywhere, which is really fun. And if that's your
On an
style.
island, yeah.
Right.
Right, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
If you scroll down a little farther, I think that there's an inside photo.
Oh, yeah.
I thought
Even
this
painted the
piano was
piano.
moldy, but it is covered in glitter paint.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, okay.
Glitter paint
Yeah, just
everywhere.
like dirty. Yeah, nails paint.
Yeah, there's
I mean,
like
I've seen doors like this in houses.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah. So pretty much the entire house looks like that. All the even the floors are painted crazy. Glitter
Pictures, yeah.
everywhere. These homeowners bought it in 2022 from there was an artist and her late husband, who owned it for quite a while, and I guess these owners ended up purchasing it for less than asking because they promised to keep it the same way that it is, like update it but keep the same kind of weird, and they said the word weird, I'm not calling it weird, but
I'll call it weird.
the
Yeah.
eclectic style that's going on in there, and so I guess they're now up for $150,000 renovation on this Ugliest House in America show by HGTV, which I
So
thought
they
was
submitted their house. So that's the name of the show. They submitted it for. Or-
yes,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
So that's the show that they're gonna be featured in. They're finalists now. I don't know since this has come out when that actually happens or whatnot.
Right.
I just thought that the renovation thing was interesting, especially considering that they were talking about it, keeping it the way that it is, preserving that color scheme and whatnot, but renovating it to that degree, I guess. I know they did say in the article there was a couple of colors that they, like the seafoam green that was on the outside, they did more of a baby blue instead. So they changed it a little bit, but still made it, obviously, you don't walk past this and not notice it. So,
No. Yeah, because just what Lily can see, the houses next to it look pretty
right.
traditional. And that's,
right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
the
it's a
neighbors
monster
are
of a
probably,
house.
We're probably really hoping someone would change it, but
Right, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Right. Some people, that's their thing. Other people probably would go through and repaint the entire thing.
So
but
I think if you said that it was kind of like this when they bought it, or kind of
it was
in that.
like exactly like this
Okay,
when they
all right,
bought
all right,
it.
all
And
right.
then they have just updated a couple things and then kept similar color schemes, maybe switched out a shade here and there, but like the entire inside is still painted crazy and all that.
Right. Yeah, you're right. The
So-
neighbors are like, "Oh, thank God, somebody bought this place," and then yeah,
And then-
no,
and then they make it
It's even
worse.
Yeah.
worse, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Or not
Updated,
worse.
but-
They love it, obviously.
Yeah.
They didn't
So
make it the same.
Yeah, no, there was a quote somewhere in the article where one of the owners said, well, for $150,000, they can call it ugly if they need to. Like,
Right.
that's
No
what
kidding.
they were saying in regard
Yeah.
to HGTV.
But I swear, in town, even there was a house similar to this. It was like the whole thing was like pink, almost like this, or a peach. I don't think it currently is anymore.
Mm-hmm. I don't
but
think
So
so.
there was a place over in Fostoria, because I think Bill might, not you, but the other Bill might have had it listed, and it was like purple or blue or pink or it was something weird.
We have some funky houses
Oh,
around
for
Seneca
sure.
County,
for
that's
sure.
for sure.
That's
Absolutely.
honestly, when you said ugliest house, I was expecting something insane. Like
Me
to this, to me, this
too,
was
yeah.
Did,
for
did it
many
say what
homes.
they had paid for it?
I don't know. I don't believe
Yeah, I didn't see
it
that in
did,
the
but I'm not
article.
sure. But yeah, I found it interesting
down
that
just a
this
hair.
was like the
date.
ugliest type of home to be featured because again, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's not.
No,
Well, but some of those Victorian houses, the colors that they pick are relevant to the year that they were built or what they're
Right.
trying to, not necessarily that one is, but some of those funky colors that they pick for those Queen Anne style houses they're just unique. And you're like, why would you pick that plum pink or plum purple or whatever? And it's
Right.
like, oh, because that's a 1936 color or
Sure.
that's a whatever. So
now
for
I should
sure.
know this, but isn't there a name for those like big Victorian houses that are painted kind of crazy colors or
Oh, I don't
like
know.
I just
can't think what it was.
dollhouse
I wasn't looking at it, but yeah, that's. But I swear that's not uncommon to have those big crazy colored schemes on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
big
good for them.
color.
Hopefully they win. 150
Yeah.
grand.
I guess we'll have to see what
Man,
it looks like after if they
I'm
win.
gonna go paint my house. Then
I was gonna
for
say,
it, you know?
Sierra,
Right.
are you doing an exterior remodel anytime soon?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
theirs
but-
is exterior and interior, so I think that's.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the thing. I wish there was more interior photos. Maybe they didn't want to share for privacy
Right.
reasons, but it sounds like every inch of that place is a wild
Painted
color.
wild then.
Yeah.
I might get murdered by my wife if I did that. So it's probably not worth the money. So, well, cool. Well, I guess we'll do a follow up, see if we can
Yeah,
find
I'll
the
keep my
show
eye
or
on it.
see if they win or whatever. Hopefully they do.
Mm-hmm.
And then follow them on Instagram. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see if they keep their promise to keep it weird.
Right. I'll try to keep this quick here then too. So our favorite, my favorite anyways, I guess, and I'm not trying to bash on Compass or Anywhere or any of them. It's just like this whole private listing thing is just madness to me at this point. I don't know. Us agents, again, this is more of an inside baseball thing for agents, but it does affect the consumer. So the clear cooperation rule that the National Association of Realtors made, we all have listings, we all share them with each other within offices with their different brokerages, so we all have access to them. And then we can market those on our websites, and then Zillow and Realtor.com and Homes.com, they can all publish those. So Compass is kind of doing their private marketing thing. So I found this on Inman. I guess I didn't really go looking for it. It was right there on their main page, but it's agent, or actually it was what's her name here? I'll give her credit here. She's the one that wrote the article. I'm not going to try to butcher her name. Somebody want to try that?
I'm guessing it's
Desiree.
Desiree.
Yeah, I wanted to go with that. But yeah, she wrote this article on Inman, and you could tell she's not a fan, I guess, by the tone of it as far as what she thinks as far as Compass and now Anywhere. Because the problem being, they're selling this as an option, and her contention, I'll kind of read some of the highlights here. Contention is that it's options sometimes without choice or without like the information behind it. So it sounds good, but is it really good? In a nutshell, it's just basically saying most sellers they think would want the most amount of eyeballs on there. So when a single ecosystem, AKA Compass and now Anywhere, put that stuff together, grows large enough to encompass, I don't know if there's a play on words, hundreds of thousands of agents, multiple legacy brands, which some of those are here even in little old Tiffin, and a meaningful share of national inventory, it begins to change how decisions are framed, not through force, but through defaults, and defaults have a way of shaping outcome quietly. I can't read. That might help if I could read. So it goes to one of the most common arguments in favor of expansive private networks is that they give sellers more choice. But choice and freedom are not the same thing. Freedom is the ability to decide whether to list publicly or privately. Choice is informed. It requires understanding and trade-offs. So I won't go through all this here. We've already been yapping plenty long here. But basically, if they get an open perspective of everything, the trade-offs, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it being private versus being on Zillow, in certain markets, does it make sense? And we've talked about this, a million times on the show here, is big markets, New York, LA, things like that. If I got a $30 million house, maybe I don't want open houses and I don't want 50,000 people through my, I don't want to blast pictures all over the place. So if you come to me as an agent and say, okay, I'd love to sell your $50 million property, not make it super public. We can bring people through there, probably get your 50 million bucks. I'm probably happy with that. If I'm in little old Tiffin, Ohio, I want as many eyeballs on a property as possible. Do I want it in my little private market network?
Right.
Again, apples and oranges, like within our office, like you get 123 Main Street. You put it in our Slack channel. Hey, 123 Main Street is coming available. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many times, if any, we've sold that property strictly on that little insider baseball, kind of deal then. And I'm not saying that's what Compass is doing, but it is kind of what they're doing. Those listings are still sort of available to us, but now we as agents need to go kind of look for that. I don't know about you guys, but I have a hard enough time just keeping up with the MLS, let alone multiple MLSs, and then going on Zillow and Realtor.com where other things pop up then too. So now I got to go on to Compass's portal or whatever, then they're not really even in our market, but how many different things are we going to have to go to for us to be effective agents? And then for the consumer to have to go find these million different portals and things like that. So again, very not long article. I mean, she had some very good points, but I could read this for 15 minutes. I'm not going to, but if the consumer had a choice, a clear-eyed perspective, would they rather have more eyeballs on their property or fewer eyeballs on their property? I guess to me, it kind of depends on their motivation.
Right, and then leave it up to the seller, because most buyers are going to want to see all them properties, whether it's in their market or budget or not. And
right.
for us, the reason Zillow is the big dog in the room is because it's accessible by everyone. And
right.
being on multiple MLSs is difficult to track down a house if it is a house that's super unique or in a niche neighborhood or whatever. They don't want, I've got one now that they don't want their, showing on billboards and all that stuff.
Sure.
But 99.9% of the time, everybody wants as much exposure as possible. So I feel like leave that up to the consumer,
right.
and not just make it a blanket statement to everybody that this is what's going to happen. It's going to become, public or
sure.
private versus public.
But I think
not that I necessarily agree or don't, but like leave it up to the consumer.
Right. And in that particular property you're talking about, if we did have, in our market, $1 million buyers are not, it's pretty rare. Some other markets that's nothing. But yeah, if we had a
right,
list
that's an everyday house in some places.
10 people that are willing to pay that much for a property and introduce them to it, that particular family would probably want to take advantage of that.
Of course.
But, so yeah, not blanket that is bad for all properties all the time, but I'm just thinking 97%, I'm making that number up, of properties for sale, probably none of that really makes sense. I think they want the most amount of eyeballs, the most dollars. Because part of the article here, too, she talked about was it's not so much me talking them into that or saying this method's the best. They're going to want proof. Kind of the proof is in the pudding. Like, okay, so now show me to where more eyeballs on this wouldn't have made more sense.
Exactly.
How can you justify that it doesn't make more sense? Well, I got you list price. Well, how many times have we listed a property at list price and we got more than that? So their argument is too, we'll test it. So we'll put it in this private network. Well, I'm just making numbers up, $200,000. Sure. And then our private network, you're getting good feedback for that. You're not accumulating days on market like if you just put it on realtor.com. So, okay, maybe we don't do it at 200, we'll do it 175. The price makes sense, but I guess my contention is just put it out there to, if the agent's doing their job and trying to price it right, again, we don't have a crystal ball. You price it accordingly to what we feel the market's going to be willing to bear. And if the market demand is there, they'll drive the price up. Or if it's too high, they're going to come down. Unfortunately, you need to, come off that price, or it looks like it's, 30 days on market, 180 days on market. But
I feel like it's just such a broad, like there's more of us than there are of them. So there's more agents out there working the under $500,000 market than there are in the, $50 million
plus
yeah.
properties. Yeah.
So I understand if it's a niche market or they're doing it specifically for a price point or an area, Boulder, Colorado, or New York, something
Sure.
Manhattan. But to say that this is going to change nationwide, it just doesn't make sense to me. But
no, but what the article's kind of getting at, it could become that way then.
I know.
Because Compass is already
wild.
big.
That's wild.
And now they're buying anywhere. I've already bought it, and that's another bazillion agents. So now
Yeah.
you put this massive conglomerate of agents there that company's already at war with Zillow. And again, not trying to, advocate for Zillow. They're good, they're bad. It doesn't matter.
And it's devil's advocate because
yeah.
like even me saying it as an agent, I'm like, do we really want a nationwide MLS? Because then there's people getting stuff that we have that we're holding that they now have access to.
Or they're making money off of our work, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, double-edged sword.
So that's where this is getting to, where there's going to be such a big company now that can, and I'm sure that's what they're angling for. Okay, we're the big dog now. We've got all the listings. We're going to control that lead flow and where things go. So good for them, I guess, for trying that. But it's just going to be
I'll wait and see, I guess.
Us agents, we can cry about it, but to me, it's to the consumer. Where is it best for the consumer? Where's it easiest? And I don't know that Zillow's the easiest thing or best thing, but
not necessarily.
All right. Well, I could talk about that all day, and again, I'm not trying to dog on anybody. The world changes constantly. Real estate changes constantly. It is what it is, and I guess ultimately the free market will decide what it likes best.
Yeah.
As of right this second, they think Zillow's the best, just because that's where all the eyeballs go. That's where the traffic goes.
Money.
I guess if we could wave our wand and magically our office had the keys to the kingdom of all lead flow and all listings and things like that, then if I'm whatever this name is for Compass, maybe I might be thinking differently. But
and then we're on a remote island working remotely.
Yeah, then we go to buy an island, I guess. So, do you guys want to touch on that stuff with Tara about the feedback, or
we
about that and come
can.
back,
Yeah, like my standpoint is I think it's great to give feedback, good, bad, or ugly, because a lot of times you're an agent stuck between the feedback that you can't give to a seller, because then you look like the bad guy. But if it's coming from multiple showings,
Sure.
there's an odor, there's staining, there's too much work for the price. And you hear that over and over and over, like, look, buddy, like we priced it where we thought was, but the feedback is different. You know, we need to look at pricing it a little lower
and sometimes
or
that
whatever.
agent knows that maybe it wasn't their choice to list it
Exactly.
where they were, but they need to show proof from other people, other reputable sources that are also agreeing for that seller to finally make a decision on lowering the price or adjusting this or fixing whatever.
Or vice versa. They say they're interested, and then all of a sudden, then the other agent's like, oh, you better hurry up and get in there because I've got other agents that say that there's an offer coming and that they're interested. So that whole thing too goes both ways, because you could have feedback that's positive, you get a feedback that's negative, and at the end of the day that could hurt you as an agent, because we talked about that before, as like, oh, my seller's not interested at all, they hated the whatever purple carpet, and then they're like, oh, we're putting in an offer, and you've already put a sour taste in the seller's mouth because because you gave them the feedback that initially, like, husband liked it, wife didn't, or vice versa, and now you're like dragging or tucking your tail going, oh, I have an offer.
Because then again, you gotta, like what you just said, watch what you say. I mean, you wouldn't want to put in there, they absolutely love the house, and then you put an offer in, and then it's just
it
like
doesn't correlate to them wanting it.
or they do wind up getting it, but they have to overpay because the sellers are like, we're not moving from our price because
they know you love it.
We love the house.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Yeah, so you're kind of that walking that fine line between well, could we get that example too? You remind me of that, Carrie. It wasn't even that long ago. That certain instance where it was exactly that. They said, you know, the buyer didn't say anything, but the buyer's agent put in feedback that said, oh, they hate your house or whatever. They're not interested in the house and kind of dogged on it. Came back, purchased a house, and the seller was super difficult, didn't want to work with them, wouldn't cooperate, then sat at the closing table and said, well, I would have worked with you more, but that feedback you left pissed me off, basically is what it amounted to. And their buyers are like, I didn't leave any feedback. What are you talking about? And the agent did. So that's where I kind of come from. I'm having heard that scenario, I've been leery about ever leaving.
Yes, and it's gotten like worse, right? Yeah. Feedback has almost dropped off the face of the earth. Like nobody even wants to say like yes, no, kind of, maybe so. Like it's just crickets, and it's like, can you at least say that you locked up and you're done, or that you're gone,
just
or
something.
That you know, showing what well still considering, or still looking, or just started looking. It just can be a blanket statement. Just give us something,
or just say buyer decided to go with another home.
Yeah.
Like if they really did, and there's nothing wrong with the house, it just wasn't the house, then just that, it's as simple as that.
And you could tell when an agent is like prying for information to help battle the seller on a list price. They're like, was there anything at all? Like anything I can share with the seller? Oh, well, you know, the funky layout or the stairs were too steep. Just something that's vague that's going to put you in a good position, but help that agent on the other side.
Right.
Because that is tough. I mean, you did it there very well, Sierra. Like if you have to have a difficult conversation with the seller, you don't want it necessarily just you, the agent, or you being the bad guy. Like, hey, I'm trying to be honest with you, but like here's 10 other feedbacks that said, yeah, your cat's got to go, bro. You know, like that's
and then they're like, what are you talking about?
That's
that's how my sellers talk. What are you talking about?
They all sound like that. I guess my feedback has been very vanilla. Ever since hearing that one story, I've been very pretty much a cis when it comes to leaving feedback.
Same. I'm not what's necessary.
Yeah, just kind of like what you said, just kind of put the bare bones, just something on there. But having been on the seller side too, you do want to get that information.
And you think you're being so helpful too. Like at least, I mean, even if they're not interested, I try to, if they really did take care of the place, hey, it's been very well maintained, or their decorations are cute. Just something that's like leaves them on a positive.
Showed great. Just wasn't the house.
Just wasn't the house.
Just wasn't the place for them. Yeah, that's mine are pretty lame like that. But again, too, you look at some of the Reddit articles where people are just demanding that you must leave feedback. How dare they show these houses without leaving feedback? Well, I don't owe your seller anything. You know, at the end of the day, like that's me or my buyer being nice, I guess, providing some type of constructive criticism, or sometimes not constructive. But
especially if it wasn't great, but it didn't suck. You go to a meal, you sit down and eat a steak, and it's mid. It's not the best steak you've ever had, and it's not the worst steak. You just get up and you're just like, well, we went out to eat, and that's that. You know, I'm full.
But I'm just gonna put mid. That's
mid.
What I'm
mid, yeah. But it'd be like the same thing on Google. Like if you just like you're okay with it, it's not like you're required to go to Google and just either just rant rave about them or blow them up.
No.
So like it's just so. I could go either way. I know Tara, I think, was leaning towards like, hey, us agents need to do our job and leave feedback and receive feedback.
That's because Tara wants to know everything all the time.
Right. She wants to see what's happening.
We love you, Tara.
Yeah,
but
get that then. And I totally 100% understand that, but there's always more to it. There's never just a simple answer like, well, of course we should do that. There's the more complexity. I don't ever want to put my client in a bad position from a buyer perspective that way, but But that just depends on where you're at with it. So there you go. A quick, dirty discussion on feedback. I think we got nowhere. I don't know. Should we? Like, so,
I don't know. That's the hard part. Is
do it when you can.
If it's relevant, then you do it, and if not, then.
But I like what you said too. If a seller's agent is really fishing, you can tell what they're looking for. I guess at that point, as long
Give
as my
them
buyer's
something
okay with
honest.
it, I'll pass some of that
Something
stuff along.
honest.
Sure.
Hey, look, you guys for sure don't want this house. We're not
Yeah.
putting an offer on because, you know, if we're going to tell them the pet owners and everything else, they might be mad.
Or the
But-
neighbor was over there trying to
Yes.
like walk them through the house
Oh, boy.
and
Right.
or something. I
yeah,
don't know.
that one's come up a few times too. And
Yeah.
like, and that's something that can be helpful too. Because what if the seller or the agent doesn't know that that's happening? You know,
Right, kind of like a tenant too. A tenant
Yes.
will sit there
Yes.
and the
Just
tenant's like,
dog
I'm told
on
I'm
it.
not supposed to say anything, but there's water's leaking out of the chimney. And
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
else, so.
yeah.
Which again is valid stuff they
That's
should
great.
pass along if they know. You know, somebody
Yeah.
should disclose that. But yeah, sometimes they're just being absurd
they
for no
just-
reason.
They're making stuff up because
Yeah.
they don't want to.
They don't want to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear about the ghost? No.
Yeah. Right.
All right, we'll leave it there. That is episode 70. I don't think we're talking about 71 yet, but figure it out.
Is that our Valentine's Day episode, or is that one more?
Yeah, I think it'd be one more after
One
that
more?
maybe then. So coming
I
up
don't
here.
even know what day it is. Right now.
Right, I know. Me either. I was on an island
Snow
yesterday, so I
days.
don't know what
Snow
it is.
days.
So, all right. Thanks for stopping by. Share, like, do all those things. If you got any questions, let us know, and we'll try to. I'm gonna hold CR2. I want to know if those guys win or not.
I'll
so we're
keep an eye
gonna
on
have to
it.
keep
I'll
track
keep
of
an eye
that
on
then.
it.
So, stop on back. We'll see you on episode 71.